I'm Hanna.
And I'm Matt Hanna.
And this is Horror Hour with the Hannas.
And fourth time's the charm, because this is our fourth attempt at recording this. So, Taryn is here. We're excited to have her. And she's going to explain who she is for the fourth time.
Well, what's funny
or third time.
is Matt saying like fourth time's the charm because Taryn's account name is Cinema's Charm.
Yeah.
So, welcome Taryn of Cinema's Charm. So, yes, as Matt said, tell us how you got involved in the Film Talk Filmstagram space.
Okay. So it's very basic. I have loved movies my whole life. My whole family loves movies. We go to the movies like pretty much every weekend. We'd have, movie nights in the living room when I was a kid. So it's just always been something very present in my life. And during COVID, I wanted to find connection with people who had similar interests as me, since no one was really going anywhere and nobody was traveling. So Cinema's Charm was born. And for a few years, it was just kind of like my outlet, so I could kind of share my opinions with people and keep up to date with releases and things like that. And then over the last year or so, I decided to be a little bit more intentional with it and kind of build like my own community of, film fans and movie lovers on Instagram and TikTok.
Well, I definitely like your content. How long have you been on TikTok for? Because your TikToks are really good too.
Thank you. I've been making TikToks for technically like 2 years, but it was so sporadic and once in a while, and it would just be like maybe 5 months after my last one, I'd have an idea and be like, oh, I'm just going to randomly post this. But this year, like in February, I was like, okay, I'm going to be a little bit more consistent with this. I'm going to actually like plan out what I want to film and what I want to post and like have somewhat of a like strategy for it.
Yeah.
So in February when I really was like, okay, I'm going to like try to make this a thing.
Yeah, I feel like TikTok requires so much consistency to actually start gaining on the platform, which is stressful, but all of your videos are good, so the quality is there. I know you talk about film kind of across the board, but I know that you are obviously a horror fan, hence why we have you on the show. Do you want to shout out any of your favorite horror movies so we can get to know your tastes a little bit better?
Sure. The horror movie that like got me into horror was A Nightmare on Elm Street. I absolutely adore Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy is my guy. Love those movies. But my favorite horror movie is actually I Saw the Devil, by Kim Hee-woon. It's a Korean horror film. It is very disturbing and very heartbreaking, and it is a tough watch, but I absolutely love it. I think it is strangely beautiful.
I love that because that was also my movie that got me into horror. Nightmare on Elm Street was my first movie that I was like, okay, I like this genre. Matt, you were right. So I feel very seen right now. Well, we'll obviously get to know your preferences quite a bit more by talking through this movie. So as we mentioned, or maybe didn't mention this recording, who's to say, we are talking about Together.
Which just came out.
Yes, so Together is a 2025 body horror film. It actually premiered at Sundance earlier this year, and after Sundance, Neon acquired it. It was actually the first major sale of the festival, which is crazy. The movie was written and directed by Michael Shanks, and this is his directorial debut, which is also wild. And it's starring real-life couple Alison, Brie, and Dave Franco. So we are going to stay spoiler-free for a good bit of the conversation. But for now, the back-of-the-box summary that we will share is the movie is about a couple who moves to the countryside and finds themselves encountering a mysterious force that horrifically causes changes in their bodies.
That doesn't tell you anything.
I know.
Compared to what this movie's actually about.
Right?
And we love that. I do think before we get into too much discussion, we should probably address the elephant in the room quickly, and that is that there is a lawsuit surrounding the film. The lawsuit alleges that back in 2020, Brie and Franco were pitched a movie called Better Half, and that their management turned it down. So it's unclear if the movie ever even got to them because it was turned down so fast. But the creators of Better Half cite numerous similarities between the films, including the central concept, which, again, we're trying not to spoil in our back-of-the-box summary, but when we get into it, you'll know which central concept that would be. But since the lawsuit kind of came to light, Shanks has had to then, quote-unquote, defend himself, and he has said, direct quote, "I wish I didn't have to clarify this, but I completed the first draft in 2019 and registered it to the Writers Guild of America that same year. In October 2020, I received development funding from Screen Australia to further the project. In 2022, my agent introduced me to Dave Franco. From our first meeting, we bonded over our love of horror, and I pitched him together a script that I have been trying to get into production for years with no luck. Soon after, he and Alison Brie came on board to act in and produce the film." So, it sounds like from that, obviously, we are not a judge and jury here, but,
Sounds like people have similar ideas sometimes.
yeah, which, I mean, we've all seen Friends with Benefits and No Strings Attached. I think it
Which
is
came out in the same year, basically.
Yeah, I think it is very common for similar ideas to come out at similar times, especially because, similar things to society are prompting those ideas. So, I don't think we need to get too deep into that conversation, but did want to present both sides, because I know it has just been such a big talking point before this movie came out. I don't know if either of you have anything to add on that.
Honestly, I ain't touching this one.
I know.
You don't have to put that with a 10-foot pole, right?
I know. That's why I was like, here's the quote, and bye. Okay. But because this is a movie about a couple, we asked our social media followers, what horror movie romantic relationships do you find the most compelling? And that could be good or bad. And what or who is your favorite horror couple? So I'm going to go through some of our answers pretty quickly. On Instagram, KScanlin653 said Ed and Lorraine Warren, and then someone responded and said LMAO. And then Kay Scanlin said, I'm talking Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, not the actual Ed and Lorraine.
So they're right, though. They're great together in those movies, but very, very funny.
Yeah.
Considering.
I thought that answer was so funny. And then that other person, how do you watch this, was like, oh, okay, yes, actually, you're right. But it would have been hilarious if you meant the real one. So I just thought that was a really funny debate in our comment section. Beyond that, Ash Lorenz 85 said Sophie and Ethan from The One I Love. March 4th Text said Fred and Daphne from Scooby-Doo.
Great pick.
How do you watch this? Said Crimson Peak, eyeballs emoji. Projectile Varmint, our friend from Nobodies, said Jim and Selena from 28 Days Later, which I loved that one. Horror_Gilly said Herman and Lily Munster. And then over on Blue Sky, Movie Postmortem Podcast said Mommy and Daddy from The People Under the Stairs. And Heather Stewart said, kind of fucked up, but I found Dracula and Mina in Bram Stoker's Dracula to be very hot.
I also love that answer.
I know.
As a lover of that movie.
I was like, Matt's going to love this one.
Anytime that movie comes up, I get happy.
Do you have any couple that you would shout out as particularly compelling outside of this one?
I actually was going to say Ed and Lorraine also, really just because I love how Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga play them. I think they have such great chemistry together, but I also just love their dynamic. Like, they obviously, are paranormal investigators, but they, also very clearly love each other, and I just think they do such a good job of portraying that. And on the flip side of that, I would say, one of the worst couples in horror is from Midsummer. It's Danny and Kristen. Oh my god, I feel like they should have been broken up before the movie even started. Obviously there wouldn't be a movie, but... That
is...
I think Ari Aster agrees with you, because that is very much the point of the movie.
That's funny, because those are my two answers. I commented from my personal account, because sometimes I do that to get conversation going, and I wrote, okay, definitely a bad couple, but the portrayal of failing relationships in Midsummer. So... we're on the same page.
Yes, great minds think alike.
It's true. Well, now that we've gotten that out of the way, we're going to go full into our discussion of Together. Did you have any notable theater experiences that might have impacted your viewing at all? Anything like weird going in or different?
Luckily for this one, I didn't. I had it wasn't a packed theater. There were quite a few people there, but everyone was actually on their best behavior, which is so rare nowadays. So I was actually able to be fully locked in and not have anything around me distracting me, which thank God, because that has not been the case lately.
I know we've had a rough time this year in a few theaters, but we actually got to see an early screening of this, so we saw it about a week early, which is cool.
And it had all the diehard people there because early screening. Yeah. Only those AMC A-listers like myself are seeing that early screening.
We got free posters for the movie. It was pretty cool, pretty solid. Definitely recommend checking your AMC account for all those early screenings because when they do them, they're worth it. We also tried to go to a Scream Unseen through AMC, thinking it would be together, and it was 2 days before the posted early screening for Together, and we were like, maybe this will be Together, and it wasn't. It was The Home with Pete Davidson, and
which I didn't hate.
I don't recommend it.
I did not hate it by any means. It's not good.
It's not good, but worth a watch.
Maybe
at home if you have nothing else happening. Maybe while you're working.
It's not bad by any means. Although some people think I didn't think it was bad. We're not covering it, but
no, we're not covering it.
This is our coverage of it. It is out there in some cool ways. It has, I think, a really bombastic and awesome ending. And narratively, I was pretty interested in the mystery the whole time, which you can't always say. Even if it was kind of silly, I liked following the mystery and I liked the conclusion of the mystery. So, I can't complain about that. It's not acted very well and it's not particularly good looking either. But
that is the issue. Also the narrative gets there are a few points where I'm where the fuck did this come from? But alas, we paid $5 to see it. True. Well, Matt had AMC A-list, so he paid $0 and I paid $5 to see it. So, what can you expect out of a $5 viewing? But the actual screening of Together, a lot better of a time, I will say. Did you have any expectations going in, or were you just it's a movie and I'm here?
I think my only real expectation was that the two of them, since they are married in real life, were gonna be incredible and give it their all and really make them him and Millie a believable couple, which they absolutely nailed that.
I agree. I think I had high expectations. I don't think I had any expectations really for what would happen or anything like that. I think I just had overall high expectations because of all of the buzz that it got out of Sundance. But I definitely had that expectation out of their performance that it would feel really believable. And then I thought it would stand out quite a bit because, like you said, they're a real relationship. And I do think that it does resonate with me quite a bit what they're doing on screen, especially when it comes to the thematic elements of the story. So I was pretty happy there. Did you have any expectations going in, Matt?
No, I think, though, I have been so hyped for Weapons that, my excitement over this one was just fine. Nothing crazy. I was it'll be good.
Matt went in, no thoughts, head empty.
Really, I really did. But that's because, I swear it's because of Weapons, which we talked about before we went live. But I started recording as, definitely my most anticipated for the rest of the year.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is even crazier because the two best movies I think I've seen this year were both horror movies. 28 Years Later and Sinners. So maybe Weapons will be the third.
Yeah.
Those are my two favorites of the year, too.
What's crazy, right? It's not even that good of a year for horror as a whole, but, the
those
peaks
two are really
up there.
High highs. Sinners, if Sinners isn't up for a Best Picture nom, if it doesn't slide into the 10, I'll be really pissed. Yeah. I was about to play it down and be I'll be kind of mad.
And we just watched it again.
Yeah.
I'm saying we just watched it again, and I was just wow, this is just as excellent. Although I was disappointed not seeing it on a giant. I wanted to see two Michael B. Jordans on a giant screen again. So
it's true.
Our TV's not big enough.
It's a great view. Two Michael B. Jordans.
It really is.
What's also a great view is Alison, Brie, and Dave Franco. Two also very attractive people in this movie.
They were giants as well on that screen.
On that screen, yeah, of course. So, what did we think of this movie? Like, Matt, give us your basic...
Oh, yeah, this is
your
no
very
spoilers.
basic, no spoiler thoughts.
This is hard.
Like one sentence.
Oh, it's so hard. I liked it. I didn't love it. I liked it, though. And I think it is good looking and well acted and has some pretty great, like, gore effects. I don't know if I call it gore, body horror effects, that I liked. And I think thematically, while, like, on the surface, it's pretty fun and has some fun stuff to say. So, and I think some real and relevant stuff. That was more than one sentence, but I'm sorry.
That was fine. Yeah, I will agree with everything that you said. I kind of feel like everything this movie is setting out to do, it's doing all of that well. I don't think the story is anything like crazy. It's not going to be completely wildly unexpected or anything, but I think that it really works for me with what it's trying to say. And I think all the elements that get there and help it have that message all work really well for me. What about you, Taryn?
Yeah, I agree with both of you, honestly. I think that I thought it was paced, like, near perfectly. There wasn't a second where I was, like, bored or, like, oh my god, is this going to end? Like, I felt like it kind of, like, went right by. And I think that, like you said, the story isn't anything crazy, but I think it was unique enough that it was very interesting. And like I said before, I just think Alison, Brie, and Dave Franco playing these characters together just made the movie and the story so much more believable, because obviously they have really great natural chemistry together, but not just their, like, romantic chemistry, which obviously they have, but even the way they, like, joked around with each other or the way they argued with each other felt very real and very natural, like almost not like they were playing characters, if that makes sense.
I agree with that. We also, because we saw the advanced screening, there was, like, a little message at the beginning of the film with them talking, and I feel like just, like, watching them interact in, like, kind of a goofy way in the beginning to introduce the film, and then, like, you can see that in the movie from the two of them, and I really, really love that, especially, like, as a couple who watch and review horror movies and going to see this movie.
Yeah, and then we saw Dave get absolutely mangled by his cat.
Oh, that was in the opening, yeah.
Like, just a complete
intro.
gash down his arm from his cat that he was trying to put in the video.
Yeah, the beginning, their, like, intro, their cat, like, keeps walking by, so you just keep seeing a tail, and at the end of the video, they, like, go to pick the cat up, and then the cat gets all, like, angry at Dave, and then they put up on the screen, no cats were harmed in the creation of this video, just one Dave, and then
they
shows,
show,
like,
yeah,
Dave
and it's
with
nasty. He's got, like, a real bad one from this cat.
It was very funny and very relatable as two people who just adopted a kitten. So, yeah. So, being as this is a horror movie, did we find this scary?
You know, I don't know if I found the actual horror element scary, but I will say some of their, like, arguments and some of the uncomfortable things that happen in their relationship was very scary for me. Particularly a moment that happens early in the movie before they move into the new house made me, my tummy hurt.
Yeah. I definitely think it has that, like, real life relationship awkwardness where, like, an awkward thing happens in your friend's relationship and then you sit there with just, like, the worst secondhand embarrassment. I do think it has some of those moments for sure. What did you think, Taryn?
I didn't find it particularly scary either. I also just think I have a really high tolerance for things like this. I watch a lot of horror movies, so I don't really get scared easily anymore. But I do think, like Matt said, some of the things that they're, like, internally experiencing are kind of scary, and just, like, some of the things that Dave Franco's character, like, clearly he has some fears and some, like, you know, self-confidence issues, and that can be kind of scary just because that is very realistic.
Yeah, I agree with you guys that it's not, like, traditionally, like, a horror movie scary. I think the thing that always gets me the most when I watch horror is, unfortunately, I am a sucker for the jump scare or, like, waiting for a jump scare, and this movie just doesn't have suspense in that way for the most part, but I do find it unnerving and at times disturbing, which I thought was really, really effective. And I think the imagery contributes to that quite a bit. I think the body horror, which Matt, you touched on briefly in the beginning, I think is really well done. And there are visuals that made my tummy hurt. Like, I intentionally did not get popcorn for this movie, and I'm really glad that I did not get popcorn for this movie because of what I had to look at.
Yeah. There were definitely some pretty grotesque moments that I was like, ooh, I kind of don't want to look at the screen right now.
Did we have any hides or screams between us?
I don't think I hid at all.
I definitely hid, but I don't remember when it was. I think I hid like once or twice. I feel like I hid when there was the moment where I expected there to be a contortionist thing, because that
there was,
imagery really, really bothers me. So I like knew where it could be from the trailer. So I was like sitting there like, oh no. And then it really wasn't as bad as I think like I had built it up to be, but I had to do a little hide there. Did we have reactive theaters, or did our theaters seem pretty unfazed?
My theater was honestly pretty unfazed, but I feel like that's just typical in the area that I live in. I don't typically get a lot of lively crowds unless they're being super annoying during the movie and like talking to each other or on their phone. But I also did see a noon showing of this, so I think everyone was just kind of like chilling out.
That's when the real freaks go.
Or real movie buffs.
Yeah. So I'm surprised it wasn't lively.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
Just like, okay, cool, another body horror movie. I've seen this before.
Do we have one? We have like 3 rotating AMCs we go to our area, and this is the biggest of the one that we went to.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was that lively.
Yeah, I don't think it was that crazy. I kind of there was definitely laughs when it was funny. Like, I definitely think people reacted to the humor. I think there were a few points where people were like, ugh, for like a second. Specifically the bathroom scene. People reacted to that one, especially a lot of men in the audience, I feel. But beyond that, like the actual body horror imagery, people didn't really respond to, which is funny, because sometimes you'll have people, like a lot of ews or like gaggy noises, like The Substance. We definitely had a lively theater for, but it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, no, I agree. Just some chuckles from some of the funny parts, and then maybe some people kind of groaned a little bit at some of the body horror scenes, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I would say the body horror, like we said, really does work for me, but the humor outside of the horror pieces, I thought this movie was very funny, and I thought that the humor mixed really well with the horror aspects. And I feel like sometimes films don't necessarily know how to mix in the moments of levity very well, and it can feel corny or it can feel like it doesn't fit. And I feel like this movie was really well written and, performed, in that the humor felt natural for what these characters were going through, or like the situations that they were in.
I agree with all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much more to add.
I feel like the delivery is good too, but it's also like 2 really funny people. So it's like unsurprising to me that these 2 people would have pretty seamless comedy delivery.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree.
Anything that we can say we didn't like without spoiling the movie?
I think they could have pushed the body horror a little bit more. Like, I genuinely don't really have a criticism of the movie. I just kind of expected, I think, maybe a little bit more, like something a little bit more grotesque, because there was only one scene where I was like kind of looking away, but it didn't end up being that bad. It was when they were in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I thought that was going to be bad, and then it really wasn't, and I kind of wish that it was really bad. Like, I wanted to leave this feeling like sick to my stomach, and I didn't. So that's really my only like gripe with it, I think.
I completely agree with you. That was how I felt coming out. I was like, we could do a little more. I also felt that this was very focused on these 2 people in particular, and I feel that they set up like some really interesting things with the water that causes this issue, and I wanted more of that, to be honest. I think a movie that I would honestly compare it to was Bring Her Back. If we talked about that already, but there's like a cult in that we at least get to see a lot of interesting things via video and are fed more of that. Not a ton, but fed a little more. And I want to know more, I think. And I wanted to see some more gross shit, if that makes sense.
That's interesting because you're not normally the type who's like wants more or like more answers.
I don't know if I want answers. I just wanted more.
Well, I feel like we got a lot of that via the coworker.
Agreed.
Storyline. So for me, like I felt satisfied with that. I didn't feel like I was missing out with any of like the lore part of things. But I do think it could have pushed the boundaries in terms of the fact that it is a horror movie, either with the imagery, like you guys said, or with ramping up the tension in a few places. I think they could have done more with it. And
I think that's what I mean when I say I want to see the more about the backstories, because I think that would give us the opportunity to see more people's experience and more, basically, like more gross body horror stuff. Mm. And I feel like because we're so focused on these two, which I understand why, we maybe miss out on that a little bit. Is kind of how I'm thinking about it. Yeah,
I think they still could have maybe done more of the body horror just like within their couple. I just think narratively, I think it makes a lot of sense where the focus lies.
Yes.
And so, like, thematically, I think pulling it too far out of what they were doing with the very narrow focus.
And so maybe had they just given me more of that within the narrow focus, I wouldn't feel the need to want it from outside of that.
Yeah.
Is probably how that's
and
how I put it.
I think that's fair.
Okay. Makes sense to me.
Was there anything else that you guys want to call out as something that maybe we didn't feel worked the best or something we would have changed? Or is that kind of our main criticism?
I think that's my main criticism.
Yeah. I think that's my main as well.
I'm sorry, Taryn, what was that?
I think that was really my only thing. Like, I really enjoyed it overall. It was just, like, I wish they pushed it a little further.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, overall, do we think people should be seeing this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm not going out there like I was with Sinners or even 28 years later where I was like, you need to see this, get into the theaters. This is one, like, watch it. I support your theater, support your local theater, whatever. But if you wait, I think it's okay.
I personally feel like this is one of the 4 horror movies of the year that I'd be like, yeah, I think you should pay to have the theatrical experience. And I would recommend going during a busy time at your local theater, just because I do think having a crowd that's reactive would be really fun for this one. Not reactive, derogatory, but reactive complimentary. Would be really fun for this. And I do think it is a good-looking movie, and I think whenever something is like a good-looking movie, I'm more inclined to say go watch it on the big screen.
Yeah, I agree with that, definitely, Hannah. I think that it is one of the better horror movies of the year. I think it's definitely worth seeing in a theater. I actually want to go see it again, but maybe at nighttime this time, because maybe it'll be a little bit more lively in my theater, like a little bit more reactive, complimentary. Because it really is a very well done movie. Like I said, I think the pacing is near perfect, and I think the script is really well written. And just for Dave Franco and Alison Brie alone, like how uncomfortable they get with each other, I think is worth seeing and paying for.
I agree with that. Mm-hmm.
Here's what I will say. If people really want my opinion, I like this movie. It's not in my top 5 horror movies of the year thus far, which maybe is crazy.
It's my number 3 of the year so far. Maybe number 4 on a different day, but it's...
I got Presence and Hard Eyes beating it out. I'm sorry.
Hey, no, I love Hard Eyes. Hard Eyes was, I think, severely underrated.
I think so too. So I'm standing by it. I feel strong about it. Okay. And I love Presence, so.
All right. Well, we have one. See it when it comes to streaming.
No. I never will say that. I will never say see it when it comes to streaming. Go to the theaters.
Okay, never
For
mind.
Everything, even for the home. Go see the home in theaters.
Okay, never mind. Matt says go see it in theaters. We have 3.
Save cinema. Also, I own some AMC stock, so go see it at AMC.
Help a boy out.
I need help.
Yeah. Okay.
We're not doing hot.
So it turns out you should definitely, unanimously, we've decided, go see it in theaters. Thank you.
Did I make a mistake by letting the viewers know that I have AMC stock every time I push AMC hate list? I may have taken significant losses. May or may not.
May or may not. May or may not have made me angry with his stocks.
I'll never sell.
Matthew. It's one of those few things that I wish you really did ask permission for.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to move into spoiling the movie. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, this is your time to bounce.
Now we're entering the spoiler zone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the spoiler zone. After this point, you're going to hear some things that you might not want to hear.
But for those of us who are okay with spoilers, we are going to move into
15-second summaries.
15-second summaries. So, Taryn, I'm sure you've heard the bit before, but we will time giving a 15-second summary of the film. It could be a really good, accurate summary, or it could be a joke. Whatever your little heart desires is cool with us, but we can get started because I know it's a stressful
Do you want me to
bit.
go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Go.
All right. Alison, Brie, and Dave Franco drink water and then become one person. That's all I'm saying.
Wow.
They
That was
morph into one
beautiful.
person. 5 seconds.
That was delightful.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Are you ready,
Yeah.
Hannah? Hannah's going next. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Hot couple is very codependent and gets more codependent.
They get the biggest kind of codependence you can get.
Yeah.
But maybe it's good for them. I don't really know.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting ending how they feel about their codependency.
All right, Taryn, you ready?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, Dave Franco has severe separation anxiety from Alison Brie in this movie, but also really resents her at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would have separation anxiety from Alison Brie also, to be honest.
I think we might all feel
Yeah.
that way.
You know, I can't blame them.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
All right.
Well, now...
And right here... Oh, you go ahead.
Yeah, Matt is going to share our full summary for the movie.
Millie gets a job teaching elementary school English and moves to the countryside with her longtime boyfriend, aspiring musician Tim. Shortly before the move, Millie proposes to Tim at a going-away party held by their friends, but he hesitates to respond, embarrassing her. While hiking near their new home, they fall into a cave during a rainstorm and decide to camp inside for the night. Tim drinks from a pool in the cave. Upon waking up the next morning, Tim and Millie find their legs partially stuck together, but dismiss the incident after separating. Tim begins to experience episodes where he becomes inexplicably physically drawn to Millie, confusing and frustrating them both. Millie's coworker Jamie shows up at their home to welcome them to the neighborhood, and she invites him in for dinner. The couple recount their experience at the cave, which Jamie explains was a New Age church before it caved in. Millie drops Tim off at the train station for a gig, but Tim experiences another episode and drags himself to Millie's workplace. An outraged Millie confronts him in the bathroom stall, whereupon they have sex, after which they become stuck together. After they painfully force themselves to separate, Jamie spots them. Millie later visits Jamie's house to apologize. In the ensuing conversation, she begins to open up about some of the problems she and Tim have been facing in their relationship. Jamie relates and encourages her not to let go of her other half, then reminisces on the relationship with his seemingly deceased husband. Millie abruptly leaves and after spotting a disoriented Tim outside. Tim visits a doctor who dismisses his symptoms as panic attacks and prescribes him muscle relaxant pills before mentioning that a local couple, Simon and Carrie, recently went missing. Tim discovers that they visited the same cave he and Millie fell into after noticing the same symbols surrounding that cave in some photos of them on Facebook, and unsuccessfully tries to convince Millie that the two of them may suffer whatever fate Simon and Carrie did. That night, both Tim and Millie are supernaturally drawn together, causing their bodies to contort in unnatural ways until their arms become fused. They manage to prevent further fusion after consuming Tim's pills in a panic before passing out. Tim awakens tied to a chair, where Millie saws through their fused limb. Millie decides to drive them to the hospital, but realizes she left her keys at Jamie's house. Tim promises to wait for her while she retrieves them, but secretly returns to the cave and finds Simon and Carrie partially fused together as a grotesque humanoid. Millie enters Jamie's house and finds a TV playing the wedding tape of two men she does not recognize, then a video depicting a ritual in which the men fuse together. Jamie, revealed to be the result of said fusion, promises that they are happier after becoming whole and implores Millie to complete the fusion process with Tim. When she resists, he cuts her arm the same way his constituents had their arms cut in the tape before she escapes. Millie reunites with Tim in their driveway. He attempts to commit suicide by slitting his throat to save Millie, despite her pleading with him not to. Her wound from Jamie nearly causes her to fatally bleed out, but Tim saves her by fusing his arm to her wound. Accepting their fate, the two affirm their mutual love and embrace as they fuse into a singular being. That weekend, Millie's parents arrive for a visit. They knock on the door and are greeted by a seemingly normal androgynous person. And that is the end of the movie.
Alright, horror fans, let's be real for a second. You ever watch a horror movie and think, if I were in that situation, I'd totally survive?
Okay, but would you? Like, what's your wisdom stat? What's your dexterity? Because if you've never rolled initiative against a shadow demon in a cursed cathedral, then I've got a podcast you need to check out.
It's called Table Talk Friday, and it's the Dungeons and Dragons podcast that makes you feel like you're in a horror movie. With dice. It's hosted by three friends, Andrew, Seth, and Zach, who are basically horror movie nerds with swords.
They walk you through how to build unforgettable characters, haunted storylines, and terrifying villains, just like the ones we talk about every week. But instead of watching from your couch, you're part of the story.
So if your idea of self-care is slaying demons and bantering with your besties while trying not to die horribly in a magical swamp, this podcast is for you.
Search Table Talk Friday wherever you get your podcast and start your campaign. Trust us, your friend group needs this.
Because what's scarier than a horror movie?
A badly planned D&D session.
So now that we have spoiled the movie, let's go back and touch on some spoiler thoughts that we didn't really get into before because we didn't want to ruin the movie for folks. So is there anything that we really like that we want to talk about that requires spoilers to get into?
Yes.
Go.
Okay. The scene I was talking about earlier that is maybe the most horrific scene in the movie is when they cut to her proposing at the party. And like, honestly, that was this movie is a horror movie. That was the scariest thing I've ever seen. I was like, I'm going to throw up. Like, you're talking about not wanting popcorn because of the rest of it. I didn't want to have popcorn because of that. Yeah. Like that, I like lost my appetite. I was just like, oh no.
Yeah, we like choked. Matt was like quivering.
I think I gasped. I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. I love it. So.
Yeah, I actually had to look away for that, I believe. I think I actually looked to my right because I was like, oh, that's secondhand embarrassment and I can't deal with that.
Yeah, I was about to say, my brother, it's one of those people.
He would have walked out.
When he has secondhand embarrassment, he will like legit hide or walk away. That man would have left the theater really early
Can I get a movie that invokes that feeling in me for 90 minutes?
I kind of feel like
I would love that.
Friendship could be one of those.
Seen that.
And we
okay.
didn't get around to seeing it yet. So
Friendship. That's a good...
Yeah.
I would love to feel that way.
That's how I feel whenever I watch I Think You Should Leave.
True.
Yeah.
This was worse somehow.
Yeah, no.
It's like, oh no, it's how I feel when I watch like a really tough episode of Nathan For You or The Rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
Or what's his other one? The Curse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I do think a lot of their moments as a couple that aren't surrounded with horror are just as horrifying as the blatant horror moments. I also just think the concept at the center of this movie of becoming physically attached to your significant other is just really horrifying and scary on its own.
It sounded good. I don't know. It was good for that one guy. He said it was great.
I don't buy that.
He was having a great time.
I get annoyed with you when I'm like with you for too long. Period.
Wow.
Let alone being more like, and I'm sure you feel the same way because I think that's
but now
normal.
we're one.
No,
you would never misinterpret anything I say because it would already be up in our brains. You know.
Are you trying to talk me into sharing
there
bodies with you?
There wouldn't be any miscommunication. I'm just saying it might not be that bad.
We would make a really ugly person combined.
Well, Dave Franco and Alison
Brie
Brie also made a very ugly person. So.
Yeah, I wasn't the prettiest person they morphed into, and that's unfortunate for two really hot people. So, R.I.P. But yeah, I do feel like the concept at the very center of this movie, when you consider the non-horror piece and the horror piece, is very horrifying. but I also think is really relatable. And obviously we'll touch on that further when we talk about themes. It is pretty on the surface, but this, concept of codependency on your partner and how much of it is love and how much of it is that you are just used to that person and dependent on that person. It was definitely a really interesting and fun way to explore that.
Yeah. Something I didn't say during non-spoilers, and I think we touched on, is this movie's actually pretty damn funny.
I touched on it.
I want to touch on it more, but I specifically, I'm thinking about, really enjoyed that they were in the cave for as long as they were, because that place was cool and, very creepy. But, the whole, compass thing, we know where north is now. All right, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Or, you just said it was mildew. I don't even know what mildew is. That's such a couple
funny
thing where, Hannah will ask me a question, and I just, give her an answer out of my ass that I think is correct, and then we look it up and it's wrong. I relate a lot to that. So, but yeah, it's probably this. That's, gaslighting 101. To be it's probably just this thing. And I've definitely done that. So.
Matthew.
I'm sure you've done it too. No,
maybe.
Never ever.
I get anxious being wrong or dumb, so probably.
Oh, that's true. I'll just give an answer.
Yeah,
it's probably
coming from a different psychological space than mine.
It's a very man thing to do if we're going to go
it is such a
gender
man
roles
thing
with this,
to
which
do.
is why Dave Franco's the one doing it.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree
relate.
that was very funny. Trying to think of what other moment. Oh, well, another moment that I think is very funny, but also horrifying, is when they have sex in the school bathroom and get stuck together because you knew it would happen as an audience member. And then it's horrifying to think of your genitalia being stuck together, and knowing how painful that would be for either of them. But then it's also really funny because they're stuck together having sex.
That whole scene. I'm just thinking about why it's actually maybe one of the most well-crafted scenes in the movie, because they're in the school, so you're already on edge.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great anytime you have sex and horror combined, we've said it before, it's actually a great combination in general. It usually leads to things. It's kind of erotic, in a good way, which I think is very interesting. It's these are good looking people. This is working on that level. And then immediately you're sitting there knowing oh, I'm happy for them, but this is going to be bad.
Yeah.
The whole thing is just, I think, a well-crafted scene, especially that ending where she removes him and he is in a lot of pain.
And then I think it gets psychologically uncomfortable.
Oh, because they're stuck there. Yeah.
But also because then she's blaming him when I don't really think that's a situation where one person should be taking the blame for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he did come to school, and yes, their sex life has been rough recently, so she's I'll take advantage if you're willing to, but also you also chose to engage in that and consent
in an elementary school.
In an elementary school. So I felt really bad for him and his mega moments of anxiety that were clearly more than just his own biology and playing a part in that anxiety.
I'm realizing now, though, when we talk favorite scenes, that might have been mine. Mostly because I think it's so well crafted with all the different emotions you feel throughout the whole thing that have been set up. So, Thoughts, Taryn?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's the only scene in the movie that I felt I was sweating. I was oh my God, I know that they're gonna get stuck, but I was oh my God, this is too much. And then you said, the tension of just they're in a school, someone's gonna walk in the bathroom and maybe hear something that they shouldn't hear or whatever. I was okay, I need this scene to wrap up because I'm sweating.
But it's also this mix of but also good for them with all these issues, so it's a very fun combo.
For a second I was you go girl, you get it, and then I was no, maybe you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the elementary school bathroom.
Yeah.
Not appropriate setting, it was a lot of emotions in that scene.
And we got to commend them. They did hang on to this movie. It was definitely fake, but they went for it.
We love
we saw fake
on.
male full frontal nudity, which we want more of in films. So
yeah, we don't like the double standard that it's always women. We love when a man hangs dong in film, and horror does tend to do that more than other genres.
I was about to say this is a big year for fake dong in movies, but then I remember Nosferatu was last year, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, Nosferatu was last year, but we got 28 years later.
That had big dong.
Yeah, but fake for sure. So.
Well, yeah, 28 inches later.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It is a big year for us.
For fake. But no, not that big, because again, it's not real. All right.
But, it's it's something.
It's something, yeah.
It's progress. We'll count it.
We make this joke because of It's Always Sunny, but also because of the double standard that like women have been naked in films for so long, and like we should just have both. We got no problem with women being naked in films also, but
Yeah, you two, you guys.
Yeah.
Whatever. If you
It's
feel
also-
comfortable.
I think it's also so cool. Maybe I don't know if we've ever explained why. If like a famous actor's like, yeah, I'll do full frontal, like as a man, because it's like such a faux pas that like if someone comes out, that's awesome. Like good for them. That's a strong toxic masculinity or good whatever
I
we
don't
call
even know
it.
if
Good
I would call
masculinity.
that toxic.
Yeah,
I
not
was
even
gonna
toxic.
say that's masculinity complementary.
True.
Yeah, I agree with you, Hannah. That's complimentary.
Yeah.
So
Like Jason Biggs in
In American Pie?
Yeah, an American Reunion.
I don't know. I never saw that. I only ever saw the first one.
Well, I'll tell you about it later.
Okay. What else? Anything else that we really liked that we couldn't talk about earlier? I really
A lot of
liked.
it's in themes, but sorry.
Yeah, I really did like the scene that we mentioned earlier in the kitchen, where the first time they start getting legitimately stuck together, and then they use the saw to...
It's like a turkey,
Yeah.
whatever you cut a turkey with. I don't know what you call that. Electric saw,
Electric-
electric knife.
knife,
Yeah.
to cut themselves apart. And I wanted to see how you guys felt about the fact that they didn't show them physically doing it, because I did think it allowed for a pretty funny moment of comedy that it cuts to them on different sides of the floor. But then also that could have been, if they wanted to go for it, could have been a really gruesome moment to make us watch.
Taryn, I'm kicking that one to you.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that overall I would have preferred they really just go for it and like really like just shown the whole thing. Also so that we could even more like have to live in that really uncomfortable, like definitely painful moment and like, have no choice but to look at the screen and like see what they're going through. And I think like you said, it would have been a really good moment for them to really push the boundaries there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not too mad about it because, like you said, also it did leave for a really great moment of comedy afterwards. I think I would have hated it if they were just like moving on to the next thing and they were like all frantic and like, okay, like what do we do next? I'm glad that they at least tried to put in a little bit of natural comedy in there, because them just sitting on the floor was honestly kind of hysterical.
Yeah.
I feel very similar to you two. Like, I think that cut is so funny. I think we wouldn't have been disappointed if that wasn't used in so much marketing. We basically saw exactly what was in the trailers. So I think that's like where the frustration stems from, and had that
Is
not
that
been in the
used
trailers.
in a lot of trailers?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think
That was
I
used
saw
in a
that.
lot of marketing. Maybe not trailers, but like those like 5-second marketings, like TikTok style ones, or
The buzzsaw?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was used.
Whatever.
So
it's
like
called.
that maybe hurt it more, and had that not been that, we probably have been fine. So that's all I got.
Yeah, I feel like I mainly saw ads on Hulu, and the Hulu ads really only showed the contortionist scene from the hallway upstairs, when they first like get connected and they're taking like the muscle relaxants. So luckily that was the only thing that was like actually spoiled for me, which does kind of end up spoiling what's happening to them, but I mean, it's fine. But I will say that contortionist stuff does really bother me, so having it spoiled is unfortunate, but it could be worse.
I got one more thing for me on the likes that also kind of plays into craftsmanship, because I do want to ask you guys what you thought of like the way the movie looks, like cinematography wise, and then also just from how they shot the scenes in general. Something that I thought was very different in this movie that I thought stood out to me was the like gravity towards each other and how that was portrayed.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty excellent, and something that I've not seen, especially in that contortionist scene. Like the way they were able to make that feel as if that basically, gravity was pulling them towards each other and the two of them are fighting it. And the way they shot it, to make it almost look like they were falling into each other or floating, was really, really cool. Like that, it's like maybe more magnetism.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic filmmaking from all aspects, but also just performances from them as well to be able to do that. It just sometimes movies just do cool things. It's the magic of cinema, right?
Yeah.
It's like you got to get a contortionist in there. We got to use the camera and place it in really specific locations to make this work. Like they need to act a certain way, and probably in a way that they will never act again. Right?
I did really like all of the ways that they were trying to show us that, like you said, the contortionist, that blood drop at the table, I thought was really successful. And
Dave
cool.
Franco smashing his face in
the
that
shower. Yeah. Or her coming down to the, like, where he's working on the computer and, like,
being against the door.
Like, running against the door and smashing her face on the door. Like, I thought that all of those moments were
scary as well. They were, like, scary, well-crafted. And, like, that's what, I think that's what this movie actually shined more than the body horror, is stuff like that. Because I just haven't seen anything like that before.
Body horror,
sure. Like, that gave me the most tension, for sure. Sorry, Taryn. What's up?
Where he's in the shower and she's leaving to go to the store, and it cuts back and forth between him moving around in the shower, like as she's turning, like every turn she makes in the car, like his body is also doing the same thing. I thought that was really well shot, and I was like kind of mesmerized by that scene and how they were going back and forth, because all the cuts and the angles matched like perfectly to her, you know, turning onto another street or whatever, and I really, really liked the way that was done.
That's kind of what I'm saying is, like, that, scenes like that are the ones that, like, stand out to me almost more than the actual, like, body horror elements. So, like, I want a movie to do, I obviously can't do the exact same thing, but whatever that feeling is that they were to invoke with that, I want that as well.
Honestly, I feel like thinking about things that I liked or made me uncomfortable, I'm like running through in my mind.
None of it was the body horror.
No,
right.
It's almost every scene in the movie.
Oh, it's
period.
Oh, true.
Because I really like all of the moments of body horror, but I also really like these moments that we're talking about, which I wouldn't necessarily classify as body horror. But then the comedy, then just pure relationship stuff, like all of it, I do think works.
It's a good screenplay,
really well.
Maybe a stolen screenplay, right? I'm kidding.
Maybe
it's a good screenplay. All right, you want to talk some themes now?
Want to talk things that we did not like, that we didn't touch on?
No, I to be honest, I already covered mine.
Okay.
I think everything I disliked, it's just like, it's fine. I don't know if I wanted it to commit even more, I think is what I'm saying. I'm happy with how it committed at the end. That's awesome. I think there could have been even more. That's all I'm saying.
Any dislikes for you that require spoiler discussion?
I don't think so. I think it's really, like I said before, I just wish that they pushed the body horror a little bit more. Really, because they marketed this movie so heavily as a body horror, and I think after, you know, movies like The Substance have come out, I just expected more of that. I think if they had, like, not pushed that so hard in the marketing for it, I wouldn't even have really been thinking so much about that.
Yeah.
And that was in my head watching the movie, because I really did enjoy the movie. There are a lot of really great scenes, like we said, with, like, the camera movement and things like that. I just wish that they pushed a little harder on the body horror, since they marketed it as, you know, the best horror movie of the year, and it's all this body horror and whatever.
I agree, as we said, and I think that is an issue that I'm catching with Neon quite a bit, actually, because they did that with Longlegs, and guess what? It worked for Longlegs, but not that I necessarily agree that it was the scariest movie of last year either, but I do think it got people on seats. But you can't keep using that strategy and that language for every fucking movie that you're putting out. At some point, it's not going to work. And they tried that earlier in the year, like a similar narrative with Presence, which is not even scary at all. Like, I loved Presence, but it's very much a family drama using paranormal as the vehicle for that. It's not really trying to be scary for the most part. So I love Neon for trying to get butts in seats, especially for these horror movies, and like lower budget movies, but y'all need to figure out some other ways to do that without overhyping or overselling what you're offering, because it's gonna like actually drive down reviews.
Yes, I agree 100% about that. I think about that pretty much every day since Longlegs, how Neon really hypes everything up as the scariest horror movie of the year. It's the best horror movie of the year, like whatever, and you think you're going to be like absolutely like terrified. And most of these movies, to me, haven't been that scary or even that disturbing. So I think you're totally right. They need to figure out a different strategy with this and come up with something else creative, because scariest or best is not working anymore.
Yeah, no, for sure. Had they gone with like awkward, I could give them that.
This movie's going to make you really uncomfortable.
And that's
unfortunately,
fine.
that doesn't get butts in seats, I don't think.
Yeah, and honestly, with horror, like it should, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I would say, spoiler territory, that I didn't love, and it's actually something Matt and I talked about right after the movie.
Oh, I forgot then.
Was his trauma with his parents.
Oh, I forgot about it.
Yeah. And I know that it's there to kind of just like color the mental state that he's in, and that because they're having such a narrow focus on them as a couple, they don't care to do anything with that. But you also think that would have been something interesting to do something more with. And honestly, the best scare of the movie was him dreaming about finding his mom and father's dead bodies. So like they could have done more with that had they wanted to. And it would have been nice, but I also, like I said, I understand why they're not doing that.
It's a little half-baked.
It's just not what they're trying to do.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I actually kind of forgot about that part because I feel like they didn't, like, wrap it up or, like, tie it into the story as neatly as they could have. Like, not that everything has to be, like, neatly wrapped, but I didn't feel like there was enough of a connection between him and his parents' past and what was happening, like, other than the obvious things that, like, they had, you know, like, a very codependent relationship.
Yeah.
To be honest, it probably would have worked better if they just went with the route that he's a loser. Because he is kind of a loser. I'm sorry. Like, that's simply, like, what they're going for. And I don't know if I like to use that term, but
no,
like, yeah,
I don't like that because I don't think they're going for him.
Oh, I felt that way. I was like,
they're going for a guy who went through some trauma.
I know, but all I kept thinking the whole time was this guy's kind of a deadbeat.
Well, yeah, I think he is definitely not progressing forward in his mature adult life. But I think they're trying to tell us, no, it's not because he's a deadbeat. It's because he's gone through trauma.
But because they didn't commit to it that hard, I feel like I do coming away. I all forgot about it. That he has trauma. We were all just kind of like, you know.
But I do think it means that during the movie, you're not like, oh, a piece of shit. So, you know, it does enough groundwork, I guess, that I didn't think he was just some idiot.
Yeah, no. Like, you do feel bad for him.
Yeah, it just could have done more. Okay, so thematically.
All right, well, his friends were losers. The ones being...
Honestly, some grown men in a band, unless you're, like, making money off of touring, maybe find a different job.
I'm sorry, I know. That's such a boomer take of me. I'm 29. Why am I saying this?
We're literally here with our
podcast.
Art passion project right here. So.
I more mean that the friends all being like, dude, why are you even going with her? Like,
okay, that is stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
and I was like, all right, shut up.
Friend grow up. They're maybe kind of engaged if you consider them engaged in the movie. I was like, I don't know if they're actually engaged. I don't know how that turned out. Yeah, like let him go be with his partner and grow the fuck up. But alas, thematically, this movie is obviously about codependency and relationships. Yes. Do you want to take it away from here, Matt, and elaborate anymore?
Elaborate. Okay.
Matt's like, I can elaborate on that?
We got two different people in two different stages of life that are both probably in the wrong slightly and need to meet each other in the middle. I would say partially. I think a big issue, though, is their codependence on each other is making it hard for one of them to grow up and making it hard for the other to basically be happy to some degree, right? Mm-hmm. So Dave Franco, this is like where it's like tough for me. It's like Dave Franco wants to keep partying, but he needs to grow up. Alison Brie's maybe trying to grow up a little too fast, and they got to like work together, and they refuse to communicate on this.
Yeah.
But they also don't realize that there is this question of, and I think everyone maybe can go through this of, are we just staying together because we're used to each other? And like that is, I think, a normal thing in long-term relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a question that comes up. It's an insecurity question in reality. Like,
to be real, we've been together for 10 years. We've been together since we were 18. It's kind of natural that part of me would think, I've been with this person my entire adult life. I love you, but also I am codependent on you and vice versa. But that's also something we've worked on throughout our relationship.
You're less codependent.
Codependent.
Yeah. But there is still a degree of like, you're so used to the person that you can lose that like spark because it's just like they're always there, right? You don't have to like try as hard. And that's a thing I think people go through a lot.
Yeah.
And then you do think, and then it's more of an insecurity and it's like, oh my God, like, are we just here because we're like used to each other and it would be awkward? It's like, no, like there is obviously like something here, but I think I would assume most people, like at least that thought crosses their mind at some point. Like,
and I mean, I've certainly watched other people, not necessarily knowing what was going through their mind, but I've watched other couples where I think they, because of their codependency, they kind of let each other get away with things or not grow or not progress forward after maybe their events of trauma or like their mental health experiences. And it's like, you guys need to work together to set boundaries and not just kind of let one person dictate what
and
the
that's
relationship
what
looks
happened
like.
in this movie.
Yeah.
Taryn, we talked a lot. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree with everything you guys are saying. I think it did a really good job of kind of like seeing, like making that like manifest in like a physical way, like how people can become so absorbed in the other person's lives and like they become their whole life, like that other person is their universe. So it's like, where do I begin and they end? And I think they did a really good job of like even verbally like kind of showing that, because even the way they talk to each other, it's very clear that like they do not know how to act or behave if the other person is not with them.
Yes.
So my question for both of you, though, is how we feel about the ending. Because, as I said before, like I think it's a very natural thing to feel, to have that feeling of you just like question things. But something that like really spoke to me at the end is how he said, like, I'm a better person because of you. You make me a better person. My maybe dependence on you has made me so much better at everything, and like I feel that way about my wife. So not to get like sappy, I feel that way about you, Hanna. Like as much as we might, be codependent in some ways, I think it has like made me grow and made me a better person, and I like wouldn't have it any other way. And so I felt very similar, and like they're embracing and choosing to, I would say, not be codependent, but instead embrace each other as the two halves of as a whole is very sweet and nice, and I think something I do feel. So it's a little weird when they're fighting the codependence, but then choose to become one, and I think it's like a good thing at the end. So it's a little conflicting for me. But thoughts?
Yeah. The way I was thinking about it, and this might be kind of slow or kind of jumbled together thoughts, Michael Scotting it a little bit, would be that they have kind of learned this or realized this about themselves, and they kind of know, like, in order to have each other, it's this or nothing. So, like, I do think it's sweet that they're choosing, like, they're willing to give their partner the other reality, right? Like, he is willing to end his life so she's not connected to him, and she is also, like, potentially passing away, to save the other person so they don't have to go through that, I guess.
But then they choose to, like, go through it together.
But they choose to go through it together because they love each other. And yeah, maybe they are still codependent. They clearly are. They are now one person. But I think it reads different because of how they get there at the end.
But I feel good for them at the end, is what I would say. Like, I feel, like, happy for them. Taryn, thoughts on this?
Do you feel happy for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's nice because, like, even though obviously they argue a lot in this movie, and, like, he feels some resentment towards her in the beginning, and then she kind of feels some resentment towards him as well, it was nice to see that, like, despite all of that, like, their love for each other outweighed everything else. And so even though in this movie that meant literally physically becoming one person, it was kind of sweet to see that, like, okay, I'm willing to give up myself for you, you're willing to give up yourself for me, and we'll just become this, because being together, even if it's as one, is better than not having each other at all. So yeah, I agree that was kind of sweet.
I think it's sweet, but I also hated it.
I
was like, wait, don't do that. You actually shouldn't do that. I don't like that for you guys.
I loved it.
But also, if you're happy, I'm happy, so go off.
I saw something in our comments that I really liked from Daniel, the film talk therapist, And he said there's a difference between interdependence and codependence. And I think that's a really interesting point, that prior to them being combined, they're codependent, which is like bad, right? Unable to function without one another. When they actually combine, they're no longer codependent, they're interdependent, which is where they are relying on each other for their functioning together and like well-being of each other, which like I think is a little bit different because it's like this more mutual thing versus like I'm dependent on you, you're dependent on me, but in different ways versus like I hear you, I understand you, I'm here for you. And that's like when they combine, they finally fully let each other in to be able to communicate and to like share that and share their experience. And I think that that's sweet. I don't know. I think it's happy. I think it might be.
I do think it's sweet, and I also think that I didn't think it was going to end any other way. Like, I kind of feel like it's obvious that that's how it's going to end, and I kind of like the way that they got there, like I said, because they were so willing to sacrifice for the other. I think what I didn't like is what they looked like at the end.
Yes.
How do two so, like, incredibly attractive people end up looking like that at the end?
Yes.
I was a little like, I think that was the most surprising thing to me is what they ended up looking like as one person. And then that made me think for a second, like, okay, maybe it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Combining is not like two attractive people having a hot kid. That is just when you combine two people, they might just look a little weird.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I was not expecting that.
I know. That's not what I expected to see either.
I hope for the best for them.
Yeah.
And their new life.
Yeah.
The other guy seemed very happy. Him and his husband.
Yeah.
He was like, it's the best.
Happy.
And it's kind of weird. Like, he seems sinister, but then if you read it the way I'm reading it, it's like, no, he was trying to help him out. He was like, it's wonderful. You don't understand what it's like to fully share. And it was interesting to see the people that chose not to fully share and ended up as that amalgamation person that.
Well, and I would say too, I feel like that is probably something that we could add on to or read into thematically as well, is like when you're not willing to
open up to the person,
be open to your person, and like, again, like you said, interdependence, not codependence. Yeah. That's what you're going to get, is this hot mess.
Because that's kind of what the combination is, though. It's like they were not communicating beforehand, and they were not setting boundaries, and they were not understanding or hearing each other, and now they are. Right? It took them combining into one person, but they did what they needed, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I make myself laugh because it's insane.
Yeah, but insane in a great way.
Yeah, this ending made me very happy, is what I will say. Which it really sells this movie for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think everything this movie does leads to this perfect ending.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. Anything else we want to say thematically? Anything we feel like we're missing on this discussion? Anything else it's doing outside of this relationship discussion? Yeah, I feel like it's not doing much else.
One other thing I want to say, I don't think I've ever seen a movie portray a relationship in like the just little random minute bullshit that you get into because you spend too much time together better than this one. Especially like the very harmless like fights they get into. I was just like, oh, I feel very like seen, which is like scary because it's like not to the degree that they are, but like just like dumb little things that they get into like spats over.
When you love your person and you're around them, like
you want what's best for them.
You get more frustrated with the people you love than people you don't care about, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Like, I know that I take shit out more on Matt or my mom, or, like, one of my best friends would be more than other people. So
maybe it's, like, the like, little resentments that happen. Like, the little, like, he can't drive, so he needs a ride there. But she's like, I can't do that. It's like, no, I understand you have your job, but, like, if you loved me, you would, go the extra mile, but also the expectation that you should have to go the extra mile because you're not taking care of your shit is ridiculous. Yeah. And it's like, Again, I don't think we ever go that far, but I relate.
Yeah.
You know,
no,
like
I think it is really relatable for any couple who's been together for past the honeymoon phase.
Honestly. It's one of the better portrayals of, I think, like a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
In terms of like good and bad. Yeah,
I was going to say a lot of long-term relationships in film, I think, can get extremely toxic and bad. Like we talked about examples earlier. For example, Midsummer. Like there's a lot of examples of very toxic or very cute and sweet to a fault. So I do like having this representation of like more what a real relationship looks like.
Midsummer is when you have one codependent partner and one neglectful partner, though. This is like two codependent partners that actually are good for each other, but just like can't communicate, unfortunately. They just need some couples therapy.
Yeah.
And they got their version of that, I guess.
They really did.
A sweet version of that.
Yeah.
Like they were just together so long, they're talking past each other. They're not, that is my guess, you know. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they never communicated well.
Who's to say?
Let's do a couples therapy podcast. We know nothing, but we'll give advice.
Hey, I have a degree in
counseling. I know. Not in couple, yeah, but I know you have a degree in counseling. Perfect. And I don't know.
You're just here.
I'm just here. I got life experience.
Sure.
I've been married I got married to the person I started dating at 18. That's worth something, you know.
I feel like Bella Swan. I hate it.
During this male loneliness epidemic, you know, I'm out here winning.
Shut the fuck up.
These men need to hear a non-toxic voice, all right?
Okay.
And that's me.
I'm not sure.
I can talk to them.
I don't know. You're starting to sound a little toxic.
We're going to go into like and try to get all we'll go the grifting route. You know,
okay. No, we will not.
Get that real money.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Take your chill pills. So we have been talking about this movie for quite a while. Do we have any final thoughts that we feel like we didn't get to share, or any specific scenes we didn't already talk about that we would want to call out as being particularly fun or scary? Or do we feel like we've kind of covered that for you? Give us more horror sex scenes that don't involve assault. Yes. Because, like, that was really cool. I mean, I'm okay if it makes sense in the movie, but, like, it's really cool to have a way to do this in this movie. And I think when sex and horror combine very well. I completely agree, 1,000%. Yep.
Yeah, same here. You got my vote.
Yep. I'm trying to think of who's good at it. David Lynch has always been good at that. I mean, he's also done the assault portion too, but I'm thinking about he's like very much combined these things a lot. Yeah. So, or at least the idea, even just the idea of sexuality and horror, he's combined. So that's our boy. Yeah. Got to bring him up every episode. It's true. We try our best. All hail David Keith Lynch. Okay. There's definitely other people that have done it, and I'm blanking right now. Oh no, that one's kind of assault. I was going to say Midsummer. But unfortunately, bro, that one is no. That's not a great. It is a great scene, though. Okay,
not for that.
Yeah, not for that. All right, so let's rate this bitch. First, we'll use our normal scale on a scale of 1 to 10, and then we'll do it on our secondary scale. I'm ready. Okay, go ahead. I'm giving it a 7.5 out of 10, which I think I was going to go a 7 initially, but this discussion made me bump it up a half a point. There you go. I liked it. It's good. That ending and I like the way it makes me feel. Okay. Bad and good. Okay. What about you, Taryn?
I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
There we go. Perfect. I'm going to give it an 8.3. Ooh. 8.3, you're crazy. I don't know. 83%. Yeah, an 83% from me. And then on our scale that we call our enjoyment/recommendation scale. It's the Matt Dalton scale. It's the Matt Dalton scale. He came up with it. From -5 to +5, with 0 being I'm directly neutral, I feel nothing. Indifference. Complete indifference is 0. And negative would be definitely don't recommend, and positive is recommend or enjoy. Where would you put this, Matthew? I think I'll give it a +4. We'll bump up my 7.5. Me too. A +4. I think this is a cool one. I definitely do recommend it. I would also give it a +4.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think this is something people should definitely be go seeing.
Perfect. Nice. So we're very much all on the same page there. Definitely get your booties to see this movie. It's just something different. Exactly. It's just something I like when people do something creative like this. I can't ever fault some uniqueness. Yes, totally agree. I get a good example. We just watched Mad God, which we will talk about at some point. But on a different episode. That's going to be a +5 for me. I don't even know if it's 10 out of 10 movie, but it's 100% a +5. Watch that movie. I am ranging very strongly from like a +1 to a +4.
+4 on Mad God.
I have very conflicting feelings about it.
We won't spoil that one though, because we got to talk about that in a future episode. But Mad God was crazy.
Okay, so Taryn, remind everyone where they can find you and what kind of content to expect before we wrap up.
Alrighty. You can find me on TikTok and Instagram and Letterboxd at Cinema's Charm. Same on all platforms. I also am a features writer for MovieWeb, so you can just search my name there, Taryn Flaherty, on MovieWeb. I have been writing there for 2.5 years, so I've got a lot of movie content on there, but I will say it's majority horror content.
Hell yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, we are very glad that you came on the show. I know we had a little clip from you doing something pretty fun in our Shark Week episode, and we're going to have you back in a little feature for a future episode as well. So it's been great getting to chat with you and hear your voice and put a face to the voice this time. Any final thoughts, Matthew? I just totally shut the fuck down.
I got nothing. I'll say, Taryn, thank you for joining us. This was great. I think we did a pretty good job talking about this one.
Yes.
It was a weird movie.
I think despite all of the initial hurdles to getting this episode going, we pulled together. We were very resilient and we...
Yes, kind of like Dave Franco and Alison Brie in their relationship in this movie.
Hell yeah, brother.
Very resilient.
That was a beautiful comparison. All right, everyone, thanks for listening. Make sure to check out Taryn at Cinema's Charm. And
like, comment, subscribe.
Other than that, I've been Hannah.
I've been Matt Hanna.
Peace.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Horror Hour with the Hannas. Make sure to listen to future episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever else you can find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube, where we post episodes and shorts. You can follow us at Horror Hour with the Hannas on TikTok and Instagram, as well as at Horror Hour on Blue Sky for more content. If you like the podcast, please follow and leave a review on your favorite podcasting app. Happy hauntings!